Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to 5 things that my 20s have taught me so far. So, I'm creating this video because it's just about to be my birthday. So, when this comes out, it's August 1st, and my 29th birthday is on August 4th. So, I wanted to share some of the wisdom that I have learned thus far throughout this last decade of life. I honestly can't even believe that it is gonna be my last year in my 20s, but I'm super excited. So, the first thing I have my computer here, so I'm referencing my notes. So, the first thing, there was never anything wrong with you. There was never anything wrong with you. This applies to the notion that your emotions do not define you. So, if you're new here, I have a podcast, Magically Mindful, the podcast. And if you're familiar with tarot, you know it's all about the fool's journey. And my journey, the biggest thing that I alchemized was my relationship with anger. I talk about this extensively throughout my podcast. I launched it in March of 2023. So interestingly enough, well, basically, in 2024, I overcame the toxic dynamic I once had with anger/rage. So, this fool's journey, you can see that throughout the first year or so throughout my podcast as I really brought so much light to my dynamic with anger. And I think I spent so much of my life feeling like something was wrong with me because I experienced these outbursts of rage. Like I could go from 0 to 100, and it it was so all encompassing, like when I would just like go to that place and see red. And I share on my podcast how I overcame all of that, so you can check it out, and I also will be doing a continuation of this video on the next episode of Magically Mindful, the podcast. I'm gonna go into more depth behind some of these reasons that I'm sharing with you right now, but ultimately your emotions don't define you. You've never been too much. You've always been enough. And I think my 20s have really taught me how to step into my power. So I am okay, I love astrology. I love human design, so I always here and there I'm going to share with you my energy type and all of that in case you are new here. So I am a Leo sun, Aries moon, Capricorn rising. That's my astro big 3. And for human design, I'm a manifesting generator with a 6-2 profile and sacral authority. So maybe I'll do a video in the near future breaking down even just what those aspects about me mean, because if you do know what that means, oh my gosh, the cat's on the bed. How's the tripod gonna manage? Come here. Mao. Come. Come here. You wanna come in here? Yeah, this setup right now, she's good, but not when we have an unexpected or very cute visitor. You want to say something? See Mao? She doesn't like being held or kissed, so I could probably get her to meow. See, she said yeah. She's a Virgo. So anyways, please okay. Oh no. 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 Okay, so if you are familiar with human design and astrology, you will see so much of how it reflects me because it's your design, it's our soul's blueprint, right? But if you aren't familiar with those things, I think it would be cool for me to just do a little breakdown. I have talked about human design on my podcast, but I mean, this is all this me being a Leo sun, and I'm in my YouTube era, my superstar era. I'm here to share more of me with you. So, anyways, but I I would say that I have a lot of fire in my chart, and there's things within my human design chart that gave me the awareness to actually understand how I operate, especially in the department of emotions. And yeah, just so much of my life I felt alone in the type of in the intensity of like rage or outbursts that I would experience. I felt alone in that. And you know, my mom, bless her soul, but she would often say that I needed medication and all of these things. But in hindsight, and what has transpired throughout my 20s is I just needed to learn how to regulate. And lots of tools have helped with that. Like meditation was one of the first things, as well as just crystal healing and so many other things, honestly. But yeah, whatever you find to be your weakness is your greatest strength. Hence, there was never anything wrong with you. Number 2, you are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to change your mind no matter the circumstance, okay? You let's normalize not just trying things for the sake of trying things. Now, I'm not saying like, yeah, try and like don't try new foods, like go on a new walk, explore a new trail. Like I'm not talking in the sense of like exploration, but for me how this has come up recently was I am on a job hunt and I don't want to use this w- I don't want to say it like that. I'm very, very mindful of the words that I use. Like to some, okay, they'd be like, you desperately need a job because I do have one. I DoorDash, but it's not sustainable enough. Okay. So I had another job opportunity come up in the midst of my job search. Someone approached me, and it was actually another delivery food type of opportunity. And immediately it sounded great. And my sacral authority was like, yes, fuck yes, it's a fuck yes. But then something came up, like a misunderstanding. And so the pay was going to change. And then I was like, I recognized, okay, I didn't ask enough questions. And there were just some signs like, okay, maybe this isn't actually what I thought it would be. And so instead of trying it out, because I was speaking with my friend about it, going back and forth with her, and I was like, well, I guess I just won't know unless I try. She's like, yeah, exactly. Like, just try it out. And then I was like, you know what? Like, this doesn't feel aligned. And a lot of this wisdom and why I wanted to say I love astrology and human design so much is because, like, this wisdom that I like to be in full alignment with my my soul is like integrating that information from my unique charts. So I know that as a manifesting generator and having a sacral authority, the sacral is your gut. So if you have a sacral authority, it means that in each moment, like when something is presented to you, you're going to feel that instantly in your gut, whether it's a fuck yes. And if it's not a fuck yes, it's a fuck no. And I learned that information a few years ago now. And with each like, as life does its thing, I've been able to be quicker to actually apply that information. So, this I think was one of the first times that I could really see like, no, I don't need to just try it out. Like, if I'm feeling that there's a shift in my body and it's no longer feeling aligned, then why the fuck would I waste my time? Time is money. Time is so precious. And, you know, also that opportunity went to someone else who it was aligned for. I don't know who, but that's what I can safely assume. So you are allowed to change your mind, and I would just really want to reiterate that because I think societal norms tell us to stick things out, see it through. Like be committed, the long term, yada, yada, yada. Well, what I fucking learned from being a manifesting generator, this energy is all about pivoting. I think a really good example of this is thinking about dating because w like, we are so conditioned to believe, like, "Oh, you gotta give people a chance," right? Like, same type of thing, like, stick it out, see it through. But if you go on a couple dates with someone and suddenly you're like, "This" okay, well, first of all, if you go on a date with someone and you're like, I didn't really wasn't really feeling it, but he was so nice, they were so nice, and they're making the effort to continue to talk to me and they wanna take me out again. Like, I should just go, right? No. If you don't feel like it's it's like, just stop trying to stick things out, okay, for the sake of sticking them out, and you're gonna know what I mean by this, like, and think about times in your life because it's the same thing. Why waste your motherfucking time? Why waste your motherfucking time? So that's what I think about that, and the number 3 thing, this is like a ritual, okay? One of many that I love, but motherfucking cord cutting. Okay, this is gonna transition, right, from what we just spoke about. This is all 5 things are connected. So, cord cutting, what is this? Well, we are energetic beings, and as an energetic being, we have energetic cords. And with every person that we come into contact with, like, I'm pretty sure this applies even if you pass someone on the street, you make the eye contact, whatever. Like, you create an energetic cord with that person, with the cashier in the grocery store. Obviously then, like, but those are, like, not as thick or strong of chords. They're like maybe it's more like a little string, you know? Um a string of fucking twine? Yeah, twine. I was gonna say thrine. Anyways, but then we create these strong energetic chords with people that we have very intimate relationships with, like our family, our partners, ex-partners, this, that, the other. I don't exactly know when I first learned about cord cutting because that's like, oh, I can't even imagine my life without it now. Like, it's so fucking good. But my first memory, one of my first memories, well, I guess this is the only time this has ever happened. I was working with a healer virtually, and one of our sessions together, she was like, "I'm gonna, like, do a cord cutting for you." So I gave her 2 names. One was, like, a friend that I had recently ended the friendship with because it was no longer aligned, so that's where kinda cord cutting comes into play. Um, this is my manifesting generator brain, okay? I go like this, but we're gonna get to the destination in just a moment, but I just wanna share this experience. So, then I also gave her the name of my ex, and if you wanna learn that lore, you can check out this episode of my podcast. I give all the lore on that. This man would go mute. Like, he would have nothing to say. And basically what I learned fairly quickly was that Ovio Frias was not at all the man that he made himself out to be. And I just felt like I was disposable. And it's like 19 years old, moved my entire life to be with him. And happy 10-year anniversary, Ovio Frias. Not because we're together, but I met that motherfucker 10 years ago this month, which is crazy. Anyways, so I gave my healer that I was working with his name. And so we're on Zoom, and so she turns her camera off. She's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go do my thing." And I'm just there, la la la. And then she comes back and she was like, I have never seen a cord so thick and big. And mind you, when we had that session, it was most likely in 2021, and I hadn't seen or spoken to him since like January of 2017. And she's telling me 5 years later, wait, is that 5 years? Yeah, 2021, so, like, maybe 4 years later. So and yeah, so she's saying, like, "I've never seen a cord so thick," and so, even though I had cut him out of my life and, like, literally had to block him on everything, which again, check out the episode if you wanna uncover more on that, but I still had this energetic cord with him because I never cut the cord off with him energetically. So, with that being said, what is cord cutting? It it has, I think, like, an intense, like, I think the prejudice around it prejudice? Oh my god. I can't speak right now, clearly. I need to go to bed. Basically, I feel like the general consensus around cord cutting, if you don't know what it sounds like it's this big, daunting, scary thing. Well, I'm here to tell you that it's not. It's a very necessary and beautiful thing, and it can be intense, but it can also be light. So, you know, some of us we do some spring cleaning, right? Maybe, yeah, spring rolls in and you're donating all this stuff and you're cleaning your place and you want a renewal of energy in your space. Well, this is like that. So, cord cutting basically allows you to call your energy back to you and the person that you're cutting cords with, person, place, situation, whatever, that you're cutting cords from or with, their energy goes back to them as well. So I feel that cord cutting is especially beneficial when you find yourself in a dynamic with someone, person, place, or thing, because I personally feel that we do have energetic ties with like places and like energy is everywhere. So that's why I say all those things like person, place, or thing. But if we're in a dynamic with someone that is draining, that is an energy leak that you are experiencing. And so when you cut cords from, we'll just say that person, you can choose to be like, yeah, I'm cutting cords and I'm done with this person. Or you can set the intention of, I'm cutting cords with this person to allow new energy to come through. And the first time that I believe oh, no. So, yeah, I think my first cord cutting experience was actually the time when the healer did it. So that might have been the first time I heard of it, maybe. Because my next memory of doing cord cutting for myself, just following a guided meditation, it was after that time, and I had done it with one of my best friends, and they don't even know this, okay? But I was feeling so heavy within our dynamic, and I had spoken with them about it in the past, like, I've been friends with this person for well over 10 years. So, I got to a point where I recognized I this is actually has nothing to do with them anymore, like, I've spoken with them and whatever. This has everything to do with all the expectations that I put onto this friend of mine, like, and that's on me. Like, I did that, and how I'm then showing up in this friendship well, I'm not letting them show up authentically because it's like, okay, I put all of these expectations on them without them even knowing, like, subconsciously, and I'm feeling let down by them. Well, I wonder why. So, I took it upon myself to do the cord cutting between me and this friend, and I set the intention, like, I want I want to clear out all of that unnecessary trash that I like brought on and allow for like a new. And that was already a few years back. I think that happened in 2022 when I did that. But literally, our friendship has never been better. And there's so much love and so much support and all of this stuff. And it's honestly fucking amazing. And I'm like, well, it's because I cut the cords and my intention behind it. So that's a great example. And then what I spoke about earlier with overcoming my toxic relationship with anger, I spent several years working on that. I guess basically throughout most of my 20s. I think from 2018 until 2024, I was working on reshaping my relationship with anger. And it took several years. But then in May of 2024, and I would say the months kind of leading up to that, I was doing my human design and astrology course, so I learned about the root of the anger that I was experiencing. So then in May 2024, I did Chris Corsini's cord cutting, which I've gone back to a handful of times, but I feel like his is just like like he says use it as much as you want, but for me I'm very like I'm like this is sacred. And I'm like I don't know. I just know when it's time to do his versus not, cuz like I can also just do it on my own. Like you could right now, you could be like, "Okay, bring someone to your mind's eye and then see the chords and then you can just cut them." But anyways, but with Chris's, it's just it's an experience, okay? And he's in his salt cave room in his wellness center that's in Lisbon, Portugal. It's a whole vibe. So I did his cord cutting, and he's an astrologer that I absolutely love. I love him so much. But he or I did his cord cutting meditation, and I thought I was severing ties with my not dad. I've disowned my dad. Long story short, he's a narcissist. But anyways, so I thought I was sitting down to cut cords with him because I had already cut him out of my life. But then and why I even mention that is because my I always thought that okay, my rage is coming from him because he was the person in my life that I'd like the type of rage that I was experiencing, I'd only ever seen him. Like, he's the only other person I've ever seen act in those ways or whatever. So, anyways, then I like get ready to do this cord cutting. I'm thinking, okay, I'm cutting cords with him. But then as I sat down and I'm listening to Chris, I'm like, no, this is like just rage and all the shit that has came with it. And I did this cord cutting. I think it was on a Friday night. It's like 30 minutes. And then I went to sleep. And the next morning, I got woken up by someone knocking on my door at like 9 a.m. on a Saturday. It might have even been 8 a.m. And immediately, I think, oh, I'm going to go out there and tell them or yeah, go out there and like bitch them out, basically. And then I was like, wait a minute, like, we're not doing that anymore. And from that moment on, May 2024, now it's August 2025. I've only had a couple of experiences where I got really mad and I wasn't able to move through it, but that's a huge fucking thing because my whole motherfucking life up until doing that cord cutting, I would experience outbursts often. And after I cut cords with it, it's completely different. Completely different. And I remember I had this friend be like, "Oh," because I told him, like, "Yeah, I did this cord cutting, I cut cords with rage." He's like, "Well, until someone makes you mad or whatever." And I'm like, "No, you don't understand." Like, even, like, road rage was such a big thing in my life. Don't know her. Like, I just but mind you, I put in all of those years prior to work at it, but then, the key, I would say, to unlocking the root of, like, why was I even experiencing that type of anger? There was nothing ever wrong with me, but the key was in my human design chart, and then having that awareness allowed me to further understand and accept myself, and so, yeah, finally, I sit down to fucking cut cords with it. You better believe, like, yeah, I'm done. Like, I'm done. And so, yeah, cord cutting has been such a powerful tool that I have acquired that I'm so grateful for. And I literally love to shout it from the rooftops because it literally changed my life. And why cord cutting is so important is because if there are people or situations that we find ourselves in that are no longer aligned, like, you gotta cut that shit out because otherwise you're signaling, and I've said this before, I'm gonna say it again, are signaling to the universe to bring you more of that. And we're always manifesting our reality. Like, your current reality is a manifestation from, like, could be years ago, could be months ago, could be weeks ago. We are constantly co-creating with the universe, which is also something I've learned in my 20s, but my experience with rage that I had prior to being 20, like, I was subconsciously manifesting it, and I lived life through this miserable lens. Like, I viewed it and lived it that way, especially as a teenager. And again, that goes back to I just was emotionally dysregulated, but being in that energy of misery attracted more misery. So if you have a friendship or a partner or a family member in your life that's incredibly toxic and you want to just keep the peace and keep them around because you want to keep the peace, people pleasing, like, the universe is just gonna bring you more of that. Even if you're like, I don't want this," but if you're still keeping it in your life, you will magnetize more of it to you. So, cord cutting, beautiful tool that's very easily accessible. I mean, you can go and get Chris Corsini's, or you can just literally, and also share this episode of my podcast where I talk all about cord cutting. I have right in the episode, I like guide you through one as well. And listening to that episode would be super helpful because you can then see, like, okay, this is how easily I can do this. It's all just about visualizing what you're cutting cords with, and then, you can call upon a spirit guide or an archangel, guardian angel to support you. Archangel Michael's great because he has his sword, so you can, like, but I like to literally do this as I'm, like, cutting cords, like, my eyes are closed, but however I see the cords, like, I'm using my arm and I'm calling upon my divine team for their assistance as well. So number 4 is perception is everything. So this one very much is all about how powerful your mind is, and also, like, mindset is key, and also that self-love is the foundation. So holy shit. Like, holy motherfucking shit. Probably my biggest takeaway of my 20s thus far is, like, how mindset is key. Because life is always gonna do its thing, but how you choose to perceive the events going on in your life, like, they could be perceived as negative, but if you choose to find the silver lining in everything, your experience is going to be extremely different than looking through or living life through a miserable lens. And like I said, that's something that I did for a lot of my life, but really healing my inner dialogue because I spent the majority of my life hating myself. And then in my 20s, I embarked on my self love journey, which again is what I talk about in the episode with my ex. So, yes, self hate to self love, a lot of that work came from transforming my thoughts because your thoughts, your words, and your beliefs, they manifest and they create your reality. So if you're constantly thinking the worst is gonna happen, it's gonna fucking happen then. Cancel, clear, delete. Okay? Cancel, clear, delete, but it's true. And when we constantly think shitty things, like we will attract those very things because what we focus on expands. So, through shifting my mindset and the inner dialogue, that looked like transforming that self hate into love. So, it's it's hard for me to name it exactly because now I it feels like I've spent the majority of my life being this version of me that literally loves the shit out of herself. But I mean, that's not true. Like, I did spend more, it's been more of my life where I didn't love myself, but, like, I'm just trying to think, okay, what was I even saying to myself? But I think especially just going through the experience with anger and, like, having those meltdowns and outbursts and just feeling so misunderstood, I would just beat myself up for it, and I felt unlovable, so you can imagine the types of thoughts that would come with that, right? So, affirmations was probably one what I started with. Like, I can't say for sure, but I can safely assume that, yeah, I am statements. I am beautiful. I am enough. I am worthy. I am love. All of that constantly. And I would write it out on beautiful paper and put it up in my space. And I think also, too, just like changing what I was consuming was a huge thing as well, because it's crazy when I think back, like, within this last year, I took it upon myself because I'm a very nostalgic girly. One day, I went to my Tumblr, which I don't even know what the login for it is now, so I can't log into it, but I scrolled through my whole Tumblr that I mean, I for sure had it all throughout high school. Probably the summer of grade 9, I got it, I would assume, and had it throughout high school. So, there was just a lot of scrolling, but by the time I got to the bottom, so my first posts, I had blog posts where I was being I was just completely different person, and I was, like, heartbroken because I had my heart broken for the first time when I was, I don't know, 13 or 14. So, I was struggling with that and just, like, I didn't, like, love my appearance, and I would always, like, tell myself that I was fat, and I never was. Like, I have these beautiful thighs that support my entire body and support my nice, full, lumptious booty, okay? But I, like, made myself believe that I was fat because my thighs were thick, and just, like, such stupid shit like that. And there's this so I am definitely meant to be doing this, okay? Like, podcasting, YouTubing, all of it. And when I very first started this was in 2007. I had this little MP3 that you could record on, and I would interview my friends at recess, and I had a little show called Tesla's Little World. There's, like, 2 recordings of it, 2 episodes, if you will. But I also have this recording, and I was probably in the 7th grade, and I might share it, I don't know, we'll see. But I'm talking it is kind of hard to, like, make out because the quality then, like, it was a long time ago, but I was on the phone with my best friend at the time, and I'm just, like, talking to her, and I'm recording it, and then I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna eat because like, I'm too fat." Like, just saying this crazy shit. So, then as I'm, like, now going back to the Tumblr thing, scrolling through my whole Tumblr, I was like, "Well, no fucking shit I felt how I felt about myself," because all of this stuff that I was posting on my Tumblr was, like, these really, like, petite girls living in California and, like, just all this, like, crazy stuff, okay? Like, just I just oh my god. That poor version of me, bless her soul, but it's like my what I was consuming was, like, this distorted version of reality, and then, connects to the other one, like, I felt like what was wrong with me? Like, there had to have been something wrong with me and blah, 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 so, yeah, I think that all just connects with alchemizing self-hate to self-love and loving yourself, you naturally will shift your mindset because when we don't love ourselves, like it's inevitable that our inner dialogue is going to be negative, but your your mind rules so much, like so much, and the things that we think and the things that we believe then go to our subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind rules our reality, like, a higher percentage than our conscious mind does. So it's just ugh, I'm like, I don't even know if I'm making sense anymore, but it's like, your greatest fucking asset is your mindset, honestly, and this ties into my last thing, which is save money, put money aside, okay? Because here I am in the midst of my Saturn return, which happens around 29 and a half. Saturn is the planet that rules structure, responsibilities, boundaries. It's the daddy of the zodiac. And I'm in this I'm not where I would like to be financially at the moment. I'm working on it slowly but surely. But yeah, I just my pattern with money has been overspending, and I have talked a lot about this recently on the podcast. You can check out this episode, but God, like my first job where I was really making like good money and I was in high school was working at the West Edmonton Mall World Water Park, but I spent that money on Marc Jacobs bags that I still have, you know, but I don't really use them to be honest. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. But that's where I was spending my paychecks. And okay, I'm young, that's great, but it's like even if I would have just put $20 aside from each paycheck, like, God, I wish I did that, but why I'm mentioning this too is that because I've worked so like, throughout my 20s on my mindset, what's going on right now in the financial department for me, for many, they would feel, like, miserable, and I was talking to one of my friends about it, and they're like, I feel stressed for you, you know? But I'm like, well, this is the situation, but I'm still like I still see the silver linings in everything, and I'm like, "This is my Saturn return." Like, I set the intention for 2025 that I wanted to heal my relationship with money. So here it is. It has to crash and burn first so a new can be reborn. And so if my mindset was what it once was, like let's say 10 years ago, like I would be crying, I'd be blaming everyone else, like taking no accountability, but it's like no, I take full accountability that I'm in this position right now, okay? And, like, I don't feel shame or guilt, like, there's moments where I feel overwhelmed, but I'm not beating myself up for it. And mindset, mindset, but please save money. Save some money, okay? Take it from me, I'm like, right now I'm in a position where I can't even save money, honestly, like, hopefully soon, but I'm like, I'm really living paycheck to paycheck, and that's a whole other thing. So, if you can just put $20 aside each paycheck, or depending on how much you make, maybe it's 100 per paycheck, maybe it's 1,000 per paycheck. Oh, yeah. I wish I would have done that, but I'll get that opportunity soon. So, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I happy birthday to me. Leo, Leo, Leo. But like I said, I'm going to have go more in depth on my thoughts around my 20s in episode 59 of Magically Mindful, the podcast, which will be out a day after my birthday, which will be August 5th. So thank you for watching, and good night, good morning, good afternoon. Bye.